All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about a Mongol battle you probably haven't heard of, but it is an absolute masterclass in psychological warfare. It's a battle where victory was won not just with swords, but with words and pure cunning. This is the story of the Battle of Konkala.
It's the classic question, right? The kind of thing warriors and generals have debated for centuries. Well, back in 1222, deep in the Caucasus Mountains, this wasn't a debate. It was about to be answered in the most brutal and, honestly, the most clever way imaginable. Okay, so first things first, we need to understand who we're dealing with. We're talking about the Mongols, of course. But this wasn't just some random army. No, this was a very specific mission with a very specific and pretty terrifying purpose. So, in 1220, Genghis Khan himself basically unleashed two of his best generals, Subutai and Jebe, on what we now call the Great Raid. And their mission? It was as simple as it was audacious. Just sweep west, scout out all the lands, and crush literally any opposition you find across 11 different nations. This wasn't a war to conquer and hold territory. It was a storm of pure destruction and intelligence gathering. And boy, were they effective. The path they cut was just this trail of fallen empires and burning cities. First, they completely shattered the massive Khwarazmian Empire. Then they pushed relentlessly through Persia. And after one little setback, they came back and just utterly crushed the powerful Kingdom of Georgia. Their reputation as this unstoppable force of nature was totally earned. By the time they got to the Caucasus Mountains, Subutai and Jebe's army had grown. They'd been reinforced by local Kurdish and Turkoman mercenaries, guys who were just eager for a piece of the action. So now they're commanding a seasoned, battle-hardened army of about 30,000 warriors, ready to march into this formidable mountain range that was basically the gateway to Eastern Europe. But the thing is, the Caucasus Mountains were not undefended. This is where the Mongol storm was about to hit a solid wall of resistance, a coalition that was unlike anything they had ever faced before. Their first problem came at this fortress city, Derbent. They couldn't take it by force, so they tried to be clever, forcing some local guides to show them a way around. But the guides, well, they turned the trick right back on them. They led the Mongol army into these treacherous frozen mountain passes, and for a moment, that unstoppable force looked pretty vulnerable. They lost men, they lost precious siege equipment, and for the first time on this whole campaign, they were completely stuck. And while the Mongols were shivering in the mountains, word was spreading like wildfire. An absolutely unprecedented alliance of the local peoples started coming together. I mean, look at this list. This wasn't just one army. It was a coalition of all these fierce independent tribes, the Kipchaks, the Alans, the Circassians, and a bunch of others, all uniting for one single purpose: stop the invaders. And all together, this Grand Alliance put together a force of 50,000 soldiers. 50,000! They were led by the family of the powerful Kipchak Khan, Khotan, and they were a truly formidable army, defending their own turf. The stage was set for a massive showdown. I mean, this really puts the whole thing into perspective, doesn't it? The Mongols were seriously outnumbered, fighting thousands of miles from home. Meanwhile, the alliance had the numbers, and they had the home field advantage. But the Mongols had one absolutely crucial edge: a single, unified command. The alliance, on the other hand, was this patchwork of different groups, all with their own leaders and their own interests. And that one little difference, that would prove to be everything. And this brings us to the battle itself. Outnumbered and staring down a united enemy, the Mongols knew they couldn't win with brute force alone. They were going to have to get creative. They were going to have to use their wits. So when the two armies finally slammed into each other in the Konkala Gorge, the result was just a brutal, grinding fight. The alliance held its ground. They fought the Mongols to a complete, bloody standstill. Both sides took heavy, heavy losses. And for the first time on this entire raid, the Mongol war machine was totally stalled. There was no clear path to victory. So what do you do? How do you win a battle that you just can't win? With their army bleeding out in some random gorge so far from home, Subutai and Jebe had to find another way. And the weapon they chose was deception. The Mongols sent secret messengers straight to the Kipchak commanders, and the message they carried, the one you see right here, this is the key to the entire battle. They appealed to their shared Turco-Mongol roots, basically saying, hey, we're both from the steppe, we're brothers. These mountain guys, the Alans and the Caucasians, they're not your people. And then came the bribe, a promise of all the money and clothes they could possibly want, if they just turned around and walked away. What the Mongols came up with was just a masterpiece of ruthless strategy. You can break it down into 4 cold, calculated steps. Step 1, bribe the biggest group, the Kipchaks, to shatter the alliance. Step 2, with the alliance broken, you isolate the remaining Caucasian forces. Step 3, use your full military power to just annihilate the now outnumbered Caucasians. And then, the final, most cynical step of all, betray the Kipchaks and destroy them too.
And it worked. Greed and kinship, it won out. The Kipchak leaders took the treasure and they just marched their forces right off the battlefield. For their former allies, the betrayal was immediate and it was absolutely catastrophic. Left all alone, the Caucasian armies were quickly surrounded and completely wiped out by the Mongols. No mercy was shown. Every single prisoner was executed. But wait, the Mongol plan wasn't over. Just as the Kipchaks were probably celebrating their new riches, the Mongol cavalry came down on them like a thunderbolt. They were caught completely by surprise. The Kipchaks were routed. The Mongols slaughtered them and took back not just the original bribe, but as the old chronicles say, they took twice as much as they themselves brought. It was just total, absolute betrayal. A victory like that, won through such treachery, well, it had devastating and really far-reaching consequences. It completely reshaped the entire region and actually set the stage for an even bigger war to come. So with that alliance totally shattered, the Mongols just rampaged through the North Caucasus. The Kipchak nation was broken. Its people were scattered in every direction. And this is the crucial part. Many of the survivors fled west, to the lands of the Rus princes, and they brought with them these terrifying stories of the unstoppable army from the east. The wall in the mountains was gone.
And this kicks off a direct chain reaction. You see, the betrayal at Kankala forced the defeated Kipchaks to find new friends. They went and begged the Rus princes for help, warning them, hey, the Mongols are coming for you next. And this desperate plea actually forged a brand new alliance, one that would march out to meet the Mongols on the open steppe.
And you can see the direct result right here. Just 1 year after Kankala, that new Rus Kipchak army met Subutai and Jebe at the Battle of the Kalka River, where they were decisively crushed. The Great Raid kept going until 1224, but the path for it was paved by that political victory back at Kankala. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, even though the Mongols eventually went back home after this raid, they left behind a powerful lesson. Their victory wasn't just about fast horses and incredible archers. It was about their profound ability to look at their enemies, find their weaknesses, their greed, their internal divisions, and then exploit them with absolute surgical precision. And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? We remember the Mongol horde for its military power, its seemingly unstoppable charge across whole continents. But as the story of Kankala shows us, maybe, just maybe, their most devastating weapon wasn't a bow or a sword, but was instead hidden in their minds, a ruthless, perfect understanding of human nature itself.